Hi everybody, it's Lakma Lentz, and David's here helping me today. Say hi to the Tarotverse, David.
Hello, Tarotverse.
Tarotverse, say hello to David. Today I wanted to talk, I bet you can already guess because I've got my guillotine out, I wanted to talk about tarot modifications. A lot of people are doing tarot mods though, and I think they're wonderful and I think they're beautiful and I'm so excited, but there aren't a lot of new videos on them, so I do a couple of things that I don't think a lot of people do, so I thought I would just share. And one thing I wanted to show people is this is the Dragon Tarot by Peter Preckenwick. Is that his name? Wow, I'm really shaky today. We've had a lot of coffee. And these had, I'm sorry I can't show you what they looked like before, but they had borders on them. And they're so nice without the borders. Look at all the blue shows. And they just didn't show. Okay. The next deck I wanted to show really quick is, this is Tarot of a Moon Garden. And a lot of people have shown this deck. You know, I have another copy. I should have brought it down. But it's so cute. It's so tiny. It has these blue decorative borders and then a white border around there. I don't know if you can see this little lavender here. That's part of the borders. But it's so cute and so tiny. I keep a crane bag and I can't wait. I'm going to have decided that I'm going to put this in my crane bag because it's small and tiny and will fit in there nicely. Other people have done this deck. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about is why people do their decks, and one reason why is because it makes you feel closer to your deck. You know, if you've modified it, it's not your artwork, but you've had something to say about the deck. You know, you have made it, even if you, this is the Happy Tarot, and I've taken it all the way down. It's such a Rider-Waite-Smith deck that you don't need any of the writing or anything on it, but it gives you something to say about the deck. You know, even if you decide I'm leaving the borders on it, I feel like that's a choice that still makes you closer to the deck. There are some decks I have that I will never take the borders off of, and that's my choice, and it, in some ways, it makes me feel it's almost the same interaction as deciding, hey, those borders need to go. So this deck, I wanted to talk about reasons why people trim your decks. My cat decided that this deck needed to be trimmed because I was happy with the borders on this deck. As a matter of fact, I bought a second copy just to have it with the borders. But my cat knocked, was it coffee or water? I think it was water. My cat knocked water on it, and and luckily it doesn't show on any of the cards, but the edges were getting all wrinkly and everything, and so it got the chop. And it's so cute without the borders. I didn't mind the borders. I think if the borders, I think they're like a pretty lavender color. I think and you cut off these things here, these cute little decorations, but I don't know. I like it, and the backs are adorable without the borders. So anyway, that's one reason. And another reason, and I think this also is cat related. Let me see if I can find, oh, you know what? I'm saying this also might be cat related. This is so cat related. It's the Flight of the Wands. There we go. Okay. I don't know if you can see this. If you look at it, they're actually, are we close enough? Should I move up?
I had it.
Oh, you had it? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. There's a tear right there. It went all the way out through the borders. And then if you look, you can also see scratches from where I was doing a reading and the cat just jumped right up on the table. This is the Aquarian deck, so if anybody has ever thought about whether or not to trim your Aquarian deck, it's nice trimmed. It really is nice. And I'm not going to thank the cat for making that decision for me, but And another thing that I do, one of the things I want to talk about is some things I do. I'm not sure that everybody else does, but when I took the borders off of these, I didn't like the white. The white, once you got rid of the rest of the border, this part here was actually whiter than the inside. And so I just took a magic marker, and it's on the tops on these and the bottoms on these. And I just went over them and made them like this grayish blue, and I like it tons better. One thing you need to watch out for is after you've trimmed them, the edges, because I did edge it in a really pretty blue, but sometimes it sinks through. And I have a method, I'll show you what it is in a bit, that I think this might have been the deck that taught me that. Okay, so when you want to decide how to modify a deck, I have these. This is one of the things I want to talk about. I have this handy little, these little things here. And this is just, it's black canvas, and you can use anything. I actually wish that we had done something a little bit sturdier, like some cardboard or something, got a piece of mat board. But I do this a lot to see if I'm going to like it. Like, I was really undecided about whether or not to trim this deck. I think I'm going to end up trimming it. I think that just is beautiful. Here's another one. This is the Syrian Starseed. And that you can see, I talked last time in my last video, my hands are small. And a lot of people trim their decks to make them smaller and easier to handle. That's one reason, that is not a reason I choose to do my decks. But I kind of like bigger decks. But this one certainly, and there are some decks I probably won't trim just because I don't want them smaller, so I'll deal with the borders. But this one's big enough it wouldn't make a difference. And the borders are tiny. That's like, I don't know. You know, when the borders are too big or too tiny, I just think that's terrible. So anyway, I have a couple of these, and they just, they help me decide, you know, just to take a look at them. Like, oh, see, even without the bottoms, if you take the, I don't know this deck well enough, and I will probably never know this deck well enough to decide to take them completely off, but that's just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So cut yourself a piece of, these are flimsy, you might want to, I don't know, do something a little bit more sturdy. Okay, and the other thing I did, and this is out of this same piece of canvas, I took a piece of it and folded it over, and there's double-sided tape in there to keep it folded over. And what I do with this, now see, I don't know, see, that's going to make a difference, isn't it? Oh no, David, you just ruined it. Okay, we're going to use this side. But what you can do with this is I open it up and I put the card in there and just get rid of the border so that I can flip it over and see if it's going to interfere with the back or how much of it's going to interfere. And I know that that sounds kind of weird, but in decks like the Raven's Prophecy, and I thought I had another copy of this deck somewhere and I couldn't find it. This is the one I'm sure everybody knows with those great big orange borders. And when a lot of people just trim it all the way down like that, and I think those decks are gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But when I went to do mine, if you cut that and you flip it over, it gets rid of the bottom of the pentacle. And so I had to decide if I liked this big top here and that cut off, or if I wanted it like that. I liked this better. So I still didn't like the orange on the bottom. I took markers to it. I took markers to my bottoms, and a lot of people may think that this looks tacky or whatever. It was my best solution. I still prefer this to any other solution that I have seen. Another thing that I did because I tried to take, all I did was take the orange borders off this way, but those orange borders from the front to the back did not match up. I don't know if you can see, I've got some orange, there are little bits of the orange border showing, which is another reason to use this thing. But my solution to do that, to fix that, and I don't know if it's going to show, but I had a stamp that had like some writing on it, and so I stamped the backs of my cards, and what it did was it minimized this and put little blacks through it, little black lines of writing through the orange that showed here, and then it also kind of broke this up. And then when I edged them, I edged these with an ink pad, and I pretty much put the pad on the back like that, and I didn't do a lot of cleanup on the back, so it has left little tiny bits of orange showing and like kind of black smudgy borders, and then the writing that goes through. I'm really, really happy with that. I think that's probably one of my best decisions ever. I love this deck. I love it. And to be absolutely honest, I just don't know that I would use it with those big orange borders on it. The colors are so beautiful, and that orange just took away from the colors. Such a beautiful, incredibly beautiful, beautiful deck. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was actually trimming. I have a guillotine trimmer. I know some people think that's scissors because you cut together, that scissors are the best solution, and I think the guillotine, at least for me, works best. My hands just are not steady enough. Those of you who use scissors, my hats are off to you. I would like to sit and just watch you cut and cut and cut. But this is what the guillotine just works better for me. So one thing that I did, you can see here like right away, if you cut the borders off this deck, you're gonna lose the little bits there. But I double check it. I've already done this, so I already know what I'm gonna say, but double check it, turn it over, and it's going to take some of the black border off, which means, you know, I might lose some of the corners and things on the Celtic knot work, but I've decided it's worth getting rid of the borders. My borders here, some of them are chipped and scraped, and this is the Robin Wood deck, and I use the Robin Wood deck probably more than anything else that I use. So I've gone through several of them. Robin Wood, it might have been the first deck that I ever trimmed, as a matter of fact, and I used one of those, you know, I don't know what they're called, but one of the ones where you pull you set it in there and you pull the little thing down. That makes no sense. So what you want to do is I find my first one, my first cut, and then I have this nifty little thing here, and then I can just put that down. Actually, that did not cut real straight. Let me straighten that up. Okay. And then I screw this down, and what that means is that, and it is so fast to go through a deck like this. You just put it in there and chop them, and it's so quick and so nice. This guillotine came from, we have a little store here called Harbor Freight, and it's like where you get tools and stuff, but it's not like a Lowe's or a Home Depot. You can get all kinds of really cool tools, and they're all cheap and inexpensive, and you find just a lot more variety of things there. And that's where we got this. So check any of those stores. I've never seen a guillotine cutter at a craft store. that was this heavy duty, and this is not even as heavy duty as you can get them. But I've never seen one at a craft store this heavy duty, and I've never seen one at a craft store with this. But if you can't find one with one of these, when we were in college, we used to do a lot of printing, and this was how we registered our prints when we did any kind of like silk screening. Or this is a piece of mat board, but anything you have with a nice like sturdy edge, you still go ahead and you cut your first card. I'm going to put that down so I can put my card there. And then you butt that up. And then you tape yourself down a nice sturdy edge. And that works the same way. And it makes your cutting and your trimming so fast, so nice, so easy. And then, you know, what you do when you're done, you just figure out where you want your next cut to be, and you pick this up and you move it and you retape it down. So, those are some things that are just a little bit different that I have seen that I don't see a lot of other people doing. And I think, wow, I think that's all I wanted to talk about. So I hope I didn't ramble on too long. I know I tend to ramble. If I think about it, or if I decide to finish these right away, we've got some other things to do today. But if I get these finished, I'll show them off at the end. And I'll stick that onto the end of the tape before it goes up. So thank you all for watching. I hope there were some ideas here. I miss the modification things. I can watch them hour after hour after hour, and unless there's some that I'm just missing, there aren't a lot. So please, everybody, share some more modifications. So thank you all very much, and lots of love to you all. Okay. A whole suit. Is that enough?
Yeah.
if you guys can see, but that is, it's almost like a new deck. The registration is so much easier when you have this or this. And also, I think, what would you say, David, half an hour?
Yeah.
It was done in half an hour. And my last tip, which I told you guys I'd tell you, is instead of trimming your deck and then edging it to see if your edging will bleed, trim your deck and then take some of these and try your edging out on these things and see if these bleed, because if these bleed, these will bleed. So that, I really think, is it. And even though I've said it once before, I added some extra to it. So once again, people, thank you for watching and lots of love to you all.